corpses in this show. 8 suicides, 1 tragic accident, 1 fake dead body, and 1 cat. I apologize. There are references to sex in this show. Awkward, humiliating sex. Or in my case, the awkward and humiliating lack of sex. I'm sorry. There are also 2 skinheads, 1 act of public fornication, a few ghosts, Satan, and Shakespeare. I take a few pot shots at religion, but I feel that it's warranted. Also, because of lifelong feelings of self-loathing, I feel the need to say I'm sorry after anything that you might find potentially offensive, and for that, I apologize. My name is David Lee White. The Lee is silent. I am 47 years old. The bulk of this show takes place 22 years ago when I was 25 and living in Pittsburgh. Also, just a final bit of context, and I'm told by people that this is an important thing for me to say. I am neither gay nor Jewish. My director told me to say this. He is gay and Jewish. I asked him why. He said it could be a distraction. And one morning, the pain in my gut was so severe that I actually fantasized about taking a knife and laying in my bathtub, stabbing myself in the stomach, and cutting out this hole so that the pain could lift out of my stomach and rise like a black cloud into the air and blow out the window and dissipate. And just thinking about that made me feel better for a brief moment. Now, I knew that if I actually did that, it would be, a little painful. But not as painful as this pain that was in my stomach as I lay here in my historical clawfoot bathtub staring out at the underside of this bridge. And this wasn't just about sex, this was about life. This was about the fact that I was alone, not just in this house, but in the universe. It was about the fact that I was just plain wrong. I have never thought of myself as very normal. Maybe nobody does, but this went far beyond that. And somehow, I managed to get out of the tub and get dressed and head to work. And on my way there, I stumbled on the body of this young man hanging from a tree. And I thought, maybe he's got the right idea. Dr. Wood's office was the nicest place on the planet. Oh my God. I felt so safe. First of all, there was and it wasn't some ratty old couch like my couch covered in dog hair. No, it was a nice couch. And you could sit on that couch and talk about your problems. And next to the couch was a bookshelf. And the bookshelf was filled with books because education is good. And next to that, there was an end table. And on the end table was a box of tissue. And you could use that tissue if you cried. And it was okay to cry because you'd be sitting on a nice couch. I wanted to move in here, but the rent was $90 an hour. And she gave me this metaphor that I've never forgotten. It's the record player metaphor. Listen to records. You take the record, you put it on the record player, and it has grooves in it. You place the needle on the record, and the movement of the needle through the grooves creates the music. But sometimes the record gets a scratch on it, and the music cannot play. That every experience that we have in life creates a groove in our record. And sometimes our record gets a scratch in it, and we're forced to listen to the same distorted sound over and over and over again. And the purpose of therapy is not to get rid of the scratches. The purpose of therapy is to learn to lift the needle over the scratch and place it back down on the record so that the music can continue to play. And now I had heard that some people would cut themselves because it made them feel better, but it was really an indication that they were digging themselves into a deeper, darker hole. But part of me felt like it needed to be in a deeper, darker hole. The problem was I didn't have anything to cut my arms with. I mean, I had a straight razor for my face, but that's not going to work. So I started looking for different implements. A stapler, no. 3-hole punch, but And finally, I settled on a paper clip. Oh. I do it to you. So, now I was not a rock fanatic. Not at that time, anyway. I knew the Monkees and a couple of Christian hair bands. That was it. I threw in these references to the Beatles and Peter Gabriel, and I threw in a reference to Prince. I thought about that one a lot. Does she like Prince? What does it say about me that I like Prince? And then finally I just said, fuck it. And I signed it, and I took it to the mailbox, and just as I'm dropping it in, I thought, no! It was like when you know your keys are in your car, but you can't stop yourself from slamming the car door anyway. Oh my God. I felt humiliated. She never wrote me back. I mean, I gave her a week, which is enough time to write a letter, for crying out loud, before I finally accepted the fact that I was not going to get a letter from Elizabeth Wurtzel. So I decided to give her a call. Honestly, I feel great. I've never felt this good in my life. And she said, yeah. Keep an eye on that. Sometimes after the medicine kicks in, people get this feeling of elation. And then she handed me a list of side effects, and along with nausea, dry mouth, tremors, and seizures, it said, false sense of well-being. Isn't that what the drugs are supposed to do? Since when did side effects become ironic? Put that on the label. They experience irony. What the... And after years of therapy and medication, there have been a few weird side effects. For one, I got really good at math, which is just weird. Secondly, I started to view my childhood as something more than just one quiet, sad experience after another. I started viewing it as a series of experiences, both happy and sad, a little more yang to the yin. And whether or not this is the truth is completely irrelevant. It's how I choose to remember my life.